In Metro Last Light, players once again take control of Artyom in a post-apocalyptic Russia where different factions are fighting in a brewing civil war.
It is written that the devastation we brought upon ourselves will eat us alive. For history will repeat itself.
Alright, you've probably heard about it by now, but Metro 2033, the first Metro game, was an underrated cult hit. It's freaking awesome. It had a heavy focus on survival horror in a first-person post-apocalyptic world, and it was really unlike anything we've seen before. It was kind of messy at times, and I don't even think I finished it because I kind of got frustrated with it after a while. But Metro Last Light kind of takes this to the next level with a bigger budget, and it sets out to right the wrongs. And I think ultimately all of the wrongs it righted were pretty good, although it straddles the line between missing the message of the first game and not. I was actually pretty surprised in Metro Last Light to once again take the role of Artyom, who is pretty cool. He's the guy from the first game. He is basically a silent protagonist, which I am getting incredibly tired of. I don't really think that's a cool thing anymore. And it's kind of awkward when the only time you hear him speak is in loading screens. It doesn't make much sense to me. That being said, his story is a compelling one, and you do get a better look into his life before the the whole end of the world, and it really gives you a sense of character for him, which I wasn't expecting. Of course, he's got a little bit of an Isaac Clarke thing, and he experiences moments of flashbacks and also just moments of visions of things happening in the end of the world. And these scenes are the most, I want to say, poignant and terrifying and very mystifying, and they are a blast to see unfold in front of you. The aspect of the game, the story, the characters, everything like that, the different factions that are all very different. There's like a neo-Nazi faction living underground, all these different people. It is really excellent, and I had a complete blast. Now let's talk about the actual game, the game you play. It's a shooter. And unfortunately, it's a little bit less of a survival horror shooter than Metro 2033 was. Metro Last Light has much more of a focus on just shooting dudes, which is pretty cool, but it definitely changes things up. You're always going to be able to find ammo. You're always going to be a badass running and gunning your way through everything. The stealth elements of the game are pretty cool, as much as they are overly simplified and the AI is kind of dumb. I had a blast with them. They are very tense moments. But when you are out on the wasteland, which is terrifying and much more challenging than shootouts with people, that's where the game actually manages to be pretty scary. Not when you're underground in the subways, but when you're out on the surface world with the monsters. And that's where you don't find a lot of ammo, that's where you don't find a lot of oxygen, and that's where you're most often the most screwed. And it's awesome. This game is terribly easy, though. I was able to breeze through it with pretty much no problem. The game does have easy, normal, and hard, and then it also has Ranger mode, which of course is the hot button issue, considering it's DLC that you have to pay for. Get over yourselves. I don't really think it's a big deal. It's not how the game was meant to be played. It's just a separate thing. Do I think it's a shady practice? Yes. But do you think it's wasting time, wasting your breath over it, or not playing this awesome game because of it? Come on. So Metro Last Light really does kind of straddle the line between being scary and being tense and being difficult and just being a shooter. And I think it actually works out in its favor because the game is just fun overall. It's incredibly well paced and you're always engaged, and I just had a blast with it. So caveats of the game, like I said, it's pretty damn easy. It's not the longest game in the world. And also, it can be buggy and glitchy at times. Twice, I had to restart the whole game. So if that bothers you, what are you gonna do? But overall, the game looks incredible, and I always say this, but especially if you're playing on PC, I have to say that in terms of the art design and the detail and the way the game looks, it is one of the better looking games that I've played in, a couple months. The game is pretty linear, so expect that going in, but there are hub worlds where, civilizations live in train stations, and that's where the game is just so full of life. You can sit around and listen to other people's conversations, just check out how people live in this world. The whole game is just full of lore and character and richness that you could just soak up. and I loved it. There are some things, like a sex scene that's kind of weird, that kind of takes things a step back, and the ending, you know, as of course, isn't as big of a bang as I had wanted it to be. But overall, I think Metro Last Light is pretty damn successful, and I think it's worth checking out if you like engaging first-person shooters that go a little bit, you know, they're a little bit more involved. There's more things you have to take into account when you're playing, not just shooting dudes in the face. So that's Metro Last Light. I feel pretty good about it. But most importantly, you guys let me know in the comments what you think of this game. How do you think it stacks up to the original, Metro 2033? Let me know. What do you like better? And are you pissed off about the Ranger Mode DLC type of thing? Does that bother you? Does it not bother you? Do you agree with me? Do you hate me? I don't know. If you don't hate me, you can check out other reviews I've done, like Star Trek the Game, which was not very good, Dead Island Riptide, which was okay, and the pretty damn awesome Injustice Gods Among Us. There's plenty of video game reviews next to me to check out, so you definitely should. So check that out and let me know anything you want about Metro Last Light, and that's pretty much it.
Unless our destiny lies within another.